I'm Scott.
And I am Scott.
Also.
Welcome back to Edgycation. What are we running on?
Let's run those two out of 3 and 4.
You've listened to the advantages of why to podcast professionally, so now we need to look at what equipment you need to get started. We're going to keep focusing on audio podcasting. And of course, for audio podcasting, the first thing you need is a microphone. The two types of microphones that most professional podcasters use are condenser microphones and dynamic microphones. The condenser microphone is great for picking up ambient sound in the area. So if you're sharing one microphone between two subjects, condenser microphone is probably your best bet. Disadvantages are its cost. Condenser microphones are usually more expensive than dynamic microphones. Another major disadvantage is if you have two subjects and each subject has their own mic, then leveling out those two subjects with two different condenser microphones tends to be a difficult process. When Scott and I first started podcasting, we had two very expensive, very professional condenser microphones. However, if you listen to our earlier podcasts, you'll hear that the levels between Scott's voice and my voice often are not at the same level, so it doesn't sound as professional as possible. This was the first time in my life that I could do it. I was determined.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I think there's moments for textbooks, and I have never met a textbook I totally loved, and I have a sneaky suspicion, and I don't remember who I stole the quote from.
Unlike condenser microphones, dynamic microphones have a smaller field. This means that they don't pick up as much ambient noise. I think that dynamic microphones are more ideal when you have multiple subjects, each with their own microphone. Now, Scott and I have used both microphones, and we have maintained and stayed with dynamic microphones because the task of just leveling out our voices is much easier.
So you said you use Kia. How do I get to Kia?
Kia's website is right here on this brochure that I have. It's
Radio.
Yeah, turn to
face
put
the mic,
the brochure
face
in
the
front
mic.
of you.
Like, okay.
No, I mean they can't see the brochure even though you're holding it up.
Well, I'm facing the mic now.
Okay.
The website, www.
Now that we've looked at the microphones, we come to the next problem. You see that both styles of microphones have the 3 prongs at the end. This means that they require an XLR cable. Now, why use an XLR cable? XLR cables carry the sound much cleaner and crisper from the microphone to the input device. You might be familiar with cheaper microphones with headphone jack style cables. These can plug directly into your computer. The quality, however, is much lower, and for professional podcasting, you can definitely hear that. So if you use the XLR cable, that comes to the next step. You need a soundboard. Now this soundboard is on the smaller scale and runs around $100. You can get smaller soundboards, you can get much more expensive soundboards, depending on your budget. Now it looks complicated, but we really only turn 2 or 3 different knobs to maintain our level of sound, the loudness, the quality of it, and things to that extent. The benefit of using a soundboard is that if you have multiple subjects in your podcast, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can use that many mics. Whereas if you're plugging directly into your computer, you have to share the one microphone between all the subjects. So in the end, it's about what best suits your needs. Remember, go online, read consumer reports, talk to the professionals in the stores. They can best equip you for the type of podcast that you want to run. Having good mics makes you sound professional. What comes out of your mouth after that, I have no control over.